and 10 Affordable Housing Initiative, we're not just moving soil, we're moving forward with a commitment to construct 50 new houses in the next 10 years.
This initiative is about more than building.
Good evening. This meeting will now come to order. Welcome to the March 26, 2026 meeting of the City of Greenville Board of Adjustment. Ms. Clerk, can you give us a roll call, please?
Ryan Purtle,
Here.
Carol Bass, Jermaine McNair,
Present.
Sterling Ruffin, Nicholas White,
Here.
Jeremy Jordan,
Here.
Clayton Sell,
Here.
John Southworth,
Here.
David Newman,
Here.
Sebastian Cressley, Will McCurry.
Here.
We have quorum.
All right, thank you, Ms. Clerk. Mr. Attorney, will you give us who the voting members are in your statement, please?
Yes, sir. I'm not quite cool enough to hold the mic, so I will approach. And apologies for the 4 pages that are about to be read. All right, so this hearing is an evidentiary hearing. That means it is like a court hearing. State law sets specific procedures and rules concerning how this board must make its decision. These rules are different from other types of land use decisions like rezoning cases. The Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial body that makes a decision concerning the application, petition, or appeal based on the evidence presented by those in favor as well as those in opposition. The members of the Board of Adjustment are laypersons, and as such, the rules of evidence that are followed in court are relaxed for cases heard before this body. Though the rules of evidence are relaxed, it does not mean that they are ignored. The Board's discretion is limited. The Board must base its decision upon competent, material, and substantial evidence in the record. A quasi-judicial decision is not a popularity contest. It's a decision constrained by the standards of the development regulation and based on the facts presented. If you will be speaking as a witness, please focus on the facts and standards and not personal preference or opinion. Participation is limited. This meeting is open to the public. Everyone is welcome to watch. Parties with standing have rights to participate fully. Parties may present evidence, call witnesses, and make legal arguments. Parties are limited to the applicant, the local government, and individuals who can show they will suffer special damages. Other individuals may serve as witnesses when called upon by the board. General witness testimony is limited to facts, not opinions. For certain topics, this board needs to hear opinion testimony from expert witnesses. These topics include projections about impacts on property values and projections about impacts of increased traffic. Individuals providing an expert opinion must be qualified as experts and provide the factual evidence upon which they base their expert opinion. Pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 160D 109, 160D 406, and Section 4 of the Board of Adjustment's Rules of Procedure, no board member shall participate in the discussion or vote on any special use permit, variance, or appeal from an administrative officer's decision that would violate the affected party's constitutional rights to a fair and impartial decision maker. Pursuant to Rule 4.4 of the Rules of Procedure for this body, no board member shall take part in the hearing, consideration, or determination of any matter in which the board member has a financial or personal interest. Pursuant to Rule 4.6 of the Rules of Procedure for this body, no member shall discuss any case with any parties in interest prior to the public hearing on that case. At this time, I call upon the board members to disclose any ex parte communications, conflicts of interest, or bias that would violate the right to a fair and impartial decision maker.
If I may, to the board, for item number 2, the director of the organization used to serve as chairman for the board where I serve as director. I don't have a personal stake in the outcome of this case, but I thought it was important that I mention it and leave it up to the board if I stay on or not. Get it.
Hearing that, Mr. Chair, you can decide if there's any bias, but ultimately the board, if they feel necessary, could vote to decide whether I should be recused.
We're okay to proceed. Thank you, Mr. Attorney.
Okay, we're hearing no other such disclosures. Chairman Purtle and members of the board, that concludes this very long opening statement. Voting members tonight will be Mr. Chair, Mr. McNair, Mr. White, Mr. Jordan, Mr. Self, Mr. Southworth, and Mr. Newman. Other parties can participate, ask questions, but cannot vote. And I'm available for any other questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Attorney. Moving on with our agenda, do we have an approval for tonight's agenda? Can I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. Hopefully everybody has had a chance to review the minutes from January 22nd, 2026. Do I have a motion to approve the January 22nd, 2026 minutes?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, moving on to new business. All right, we have a public hearing on a request for a special use permit by Building Hope Community Life Center. The applicant, Building Hope Community Life Center, desires a special use permit to operate a child daycare facility pursuant to Appendix A, Use 8A of the Greenville City Code. The proposed use is located at 215 West 9th Street. The property is further identified as being tax parcel 06716. At this time, we will ask all members that are here to speak for or against this case to please step forward and be sworn in.
I did.
All right, thank you. And you can take a seat. All right. And Mr. Jones. We're a well-oiled machine today.
Stole the sign-in sheet.
I know. We will now have staff preliminary report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good to see everybody tonight. So, as stated, you do have a special use permit application for a child daycare facility. So you can see there, the red star on the map denotes the location. It's centrally located in the downtown district. You can see an aerial photograph there of the property in question. So this is the 215 West 9th Street, parcel 06716. See, the zoning of the property is downtown commercial. All the properties around it are downtown commercial as well. So to the north, you have Jefferson's Florist across the street. To the south is a vacant piece of property. To the east is Collide, which is a church. And to the west is actually the former site of Building Hope Community Life Center. So they'll actually be just relocating just to this property. Future land use character. Future land use map and the character map show this as Uptown Edge, so the proposed use is in compliance with the future land use plan. So this property is about a half an acre with about 150 feet along 9th Street. And this is an existing commercial building that formerly had an office in it. So you can see there, notice of this hearing was posted on the site on March 11th. Notice was also mailed to the adjoining property owners on March 11th, as well as the applicant. Notice of the public hearing was also published in the Daily Reflector March 14th and March 21st. So you have in your packet from the staff report the definition of a child daycare facility and the specific criteria. Staff comments in addition to those would be this proposed location is designated as an office. A change of occupancy is required prior to occupancy. Facility shall comply with city code requirements, all state licensing regulations, and North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services regulations prior to operation, and maintain all proper licensing. The proposed project must meet all related state of North Carolina building and fire codes prior to occupancy. And with that, I'll answer any questions the board may have of me.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Do we have any questions for staff at this time? All right. Just for the record, what is the process for changing occupancy?
So it's a building permit application, essentially. So they'll go in and there's some documentation they'll have to provide to the building permit, our building inspections department to make sure they're up to code standards.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jones. All right. There are no questions. So at this time, we'll ask that the applicant step forward. And as you do, please sign in, and then when you are ready, just tell us your name and title and a little bit about your project.
Good evening, Board. My name is Scott Elliott. I'm a board member of the Building Hope Community Life Center.
My name is Tina Weldon, and I'm the president of the board for Building Hope.
Good evening. My name is Sheena Parker, and I am the Executive Director of Building Hope Community Life Center.
So good evening. We're here to, obviously, for the special use permit application for our facility. We are celebrating our 25th year in operation. We've actually been basically in the same exact vicinity the entire time. We started out in the trade gas station along 10th Street that backs up to this property. And then Mr. Williams deeded his former plumbing parts store, I believe it was, or hardware store to the organization. We've been in there about 20 years, and now we're looking to relocate adjacent to this property at 215 West 9th Street. We are a registered but not licensed child care facility, but we're not really a child care facility. We run an after-school program, basically. But per the city and state regulations, I guess we would be considered a registered child care facility. We're seeking to move into this building as we look toward more longer-term plans we have for a new facility, but we're seeking this permit tonight to allow us to operate in this location. Do you want to have anything?
Any other comments? All right.
Sure.
Good evening. Yes, as Mr. Elliott stated, I've had the honor of serving as the executive director for just under 2 years. And as he stated, the heart of our programming is our after-school program, in addition to a suspension intervention program that we contract with Pitt County Schools for during the day. And in addition to that, we also participate in service outreach right here in our community with local partners. So we are seeking the new property to continue to enhance our services and programming for our students and to spread our impact in the community. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Any other comments? All right. At this time, does the board have any questions for the applicants? Hearing none, you may take a seat again, thank you. At this time, we'll ask for any speakers against this petition to step forward. Seeing none, we'll move forward, and staff, can you give us your recommendation?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So in staff's opinion, this request can meet all the development standards required for issuance of a special use permit upon proper findings by the board.
All right. Thank you. At this time, we will close the public hearing and open for any board discussion. Does any member of the board have discussion for this special use permit? Seeing none, we will continue on. For expediency, criteria will be read by reference. You may call for a vote on any criteria as it's read. Your silence on each criteria is recognized as a vote in favor of the application. Conditions and specifications, comprehensive plan, health and safety, detriment to public welfare, existing use detrimental, injury to properties or improvements, nuisance or hazard. At this time, I will ask for a motion for approval of the finding of facts. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? We will proceed. At this time, we will call for a motion for approval of the petition with the staff recommended conditions. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries, and your special use permit will take effect as soon as it can be signed off on. Your petition has been approved. Thank you for your time this evening. All right. We will move on to the public hearing on a request for a special use permit by Najai Jabbar. Excuse me if I've mispronounced your name. The applicant, Najai Jabbar, desires to modify a special use permit to operate a hookah cafe pursuant to Appendix A, Use 10-H of the Greenville City Code. The proposed use is located at 3016 South Memorial Drive. The property is further identified as being tax parcel number 27149. At this time, can all members for and against this case please step forward to be sworn in if you have not been already? All right, thank you, and the applicant can take a seat. All right, at this time, we'll have staff's preliminary report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a request to actually modify an existing special use permit for a hookah cafe. So the original special use permit was approved with a total of 8 staff recommended conditions. This request is to remove one of those conditions, and I'll read that condition. So the condition requested to be removed is shall not offer live entertainment and amplified audio entertainment. Amplified audio entertainment shall mean any type of music or other entertainment delivered through and by an electronic system provided. Provided, however, televisions operating with no amplification other than their internal speakers or television connected to a master sound system operating at a low amplification, an indoor background music system operating at a low amplification and not intended as a principal form of entertainment shall not be deemed as amplified entertainment or audio entertainment. So you can see there on the screen, the property is denoted with the red star. It is located on Memorial Drive in the kind of the southern part of the city. So you can see there on the screen, highlighted in red is the actual property in question. So you can see there it's just south of Country Club Drive, Dexter Street to the east. Let's see. So to the north you have Rim Time. To the south, you have Go Beyond Belief, which I believe is a chiropractor's office. To the east is Pitt Community College's Continuing Education Center and Green Financial Services. And to the west, you have Clubway Apartments. The zoning map shows this property is heavy commercial. And let's see, to the north is also heavy commercial. To the south is also heavy commercial. East, you also have heavy commercial. And to the west is also heavy commercial. So this property contains an existing 1,800 square foot commercial building and is operated as Area 22 Hookah Lounge for the past 5 or so years. Has approximately 152 feet frontage along South Memorial Drive with a total of about 0.53 acres. The future land use property map and character area shows this is designated as commercial, and it shows this as commercial character type, and it is in compliance with the future land use plan. So you see there on the screen that the notice of this case was published on site. That was posted on March 11th. Notice was also mailed out to the adjoining property owners and the petitioner on March 11th. Notice of this public hearing was also published in the Daily Reflector on March 14th and March 21st. So you also have in your staff report the definition of a hookah cafe. So a hookah cafe is an establishment that has a primary or accessory use, provides for the on-site consumption of shisha or similar flavored tobacco products. Also, the specific criteria as listed in the zoning ordinance list no hookah cafe shall be located within 1/4 mile radius of an existing or approved hookah cafe. So obviously, this establishment meets that criteria. I will note that under the new UDO, we've upped that from 1/4 a mile to 1/2 a mile. They still meet that requirement. So, staff comments. So with the original special use permit, it included conditions that prohibited live entertainment or amplified audio entertainment. So this condition was originally established to help ensure the establishment operated as a hookah cafe and reduce the potential for the business to function as a nightclub or bar. Also in your packet, we had memos from Greenville PD that included 15 separate calls for service from November 2022 to March 8, 2026. And also you'll see social media posts that were provided from the Regulatory Compliance and Enforcement Coordinator. So with the staff recommended conditions, they will remain, staff recommended conditions in your staff report will all remain the same except for the one that was proposed to be removed. So everything's the exact same as the original one, so I'll read through those real quick. The applicant shall comply with section 310 .9 of the North Carolina Fire Code to include, but not limited to, an approved ventilation system, an approved non-combustible container for coals, location and position of hookah pipes and disposal, use or handling of ashes and coals. B, shall not operate as a public or private club, and this, so that we refer to those as bars now. C, shall not be a place of entertainment, shall not offer floor shows or dancing area. D, shall not charge a cover for entry. E, no loitering or outdoor activities permitted. F, shall not operate as a Class 1 or Class 2 tobacco shop. The new UDO is updated to classify those as tobacco and hemp retail. And G, shall not be a de facto nightclub or bar. So the proposed project must also meet all related North Carolina fire and building codes prior to occupancy. And if any proposed work is to be done, the applicant shall obtain the building permits for any work and have approved inspections. So with that, I'll answer any questions you guys have of me.
Any questions for city staff at this time? We have additional members from city staff that have been sworn in. Is it appropriate for them to come forward, or are they here just as?
They're here for support you guys if you got any questions with the provided reports they gave. So they're here to answer any questions for that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jones. Any other questions for city staff?
Yeah, so the original special use permit that's currently in place has all the regulations to prevent the place from being a nightclub, right?
Correct.
And so the social media pieces that were included in the packet appear nightclubish.
I'll let the applicant kind of speak to that a little bit. So it's not uncommon for businesses to promote their businesses online. So I'll let them get into that so I don't, I'll just let them answer any questions
Okay,
about that,
thank
and then
you.
we'll move forward on.
Has there been any zoning or coding infractions
Zoning,
based on the
no.
special? Okay.
No. And I'll say zoning is complaint driven, so obviously, we try to answer, we try to coordinate with staff and if there are complaints, we will investigate, but zoning has not received any complaints. So.
Thank you.
But there have been violations identified by the Regulatory Compliance and Enforcement Coordinator that are in the packet that, so city staff is saying that these violations did occur?
Okay, so we're gonna have to kind of broach this conceptually. I know this is gonna get kind of complicated, but there have been no notice of violations that have been given to the applicant. So they haven't received notice of violations, they haven't gone through that procedure. Obviously, they would be entitled to appeal that, to contest it, to do all that. None of that has taken place. What is included in your packet, I think, is information for your own edification purposes that on these occasions, a citizen has maybe called GPD about a noise complaint or all that. Again, we're not speaking, or at least city staff is not speaking towards the veracity of those, whether or not they're directly tied, whether that's actually a notice violation. From a zoning perspective, there has been no notice violations. So as you guys are aware, these decisions have to be made off of substantial competent evidence, and at this point, we don't necessarily know who those people are. None of that stuff has been verified. I think what they're really trying to do is give you all the adequate information you have when trying to contemplate whether or not to remove a certain restriction. But this is kind of an odd thing because ultimately we're doing a modification hearing. So they already have a special use permit. So this isn't a hearing about whether or not to revoke or do anything like that. If that was the case, we would have to have a separate thing where they had noticed that that was gonna be brought up, what the allegations would be. All that's kind of taken place. So we don't really have firm guidance or structure for kind of a modification like this. I think the de facto stance among most municipalities and the way that Greenville historically handles it is to bring it to the board to make sure you guys have all the information you can have and you can make that decision. So essentially where we're at currently, and I don't want to speak too much for the applicant or for staff, is there seems to be information presented to the city that they're acting somewhat in contravention to existing conditions that are at play there. So ultimately, it's up to the board, after you hear from the applicant and you hear all the testimony and the evidence, whether or not you want to relieve them from those conditions, in a sense, to let them operate where they're not potentially violating, or having to come back to have anything revoked, or you would keep it in place, at which case you would begin an investigation process. There would be a process for them getting NOVs and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of weird. I can understand how it's a little complicated and that it's a little convoluted altogether. But for purposes of what you guys are doing tonight, it's essentially determining whether or not y'all should amend or modify these conditions. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And sorry
Thank you,
for the
Mr.
long-winded lawyer answer.
No, thank you, Mr. Attorney. That was a great answer to where my line of questioning is, and I want to stress to the board, we must make decisions based on verified information and what can be proven.
And
So,
I will absolutely come up and kind of, after everything, just kind of go through all this again to a degree. But as Mr. Chair just stated, be mindful of the fact that some of the information you're receiving, he doesn't have an opportunity, the applicant doesn't have an opportunity to confront him. You guys can't ask those questions. So if your decision were to be based strictly on that, that would be improper,
Yep.
just from like a legal perspective.
thank you, Mr. Attorney. Any other questions for city staff? All right. Hearing none, thank you, Mr. Jones. At this time, we will call the applicant to step forward. Please sign in, and then when you are ready and to speak, state your title and give us a little bit about your project.
How you doing? My name is Jamel Blunt. I'm the owner and operator of the actual business that occupies the building, Area 22. I'm a lifelong native here. I've been involved in entertainment for quite some time. I had a dream back during the pandemic. I ended up just getting stressed out one day and stumbled across a hookah. Never done drugs, never drank or anything before. I played basketball, and it was just a stress reliever for me. And I've been in the nightclub life for like about 15 years. And I said that once the pandemic was over with, I wanted to open up a hookah lounge. So my place is basically just a bunch of sections, tables, you sit down. But the thing I'm asking for today is not just necessarily all live entertainment. It's just mainly basically a DJ, which is a vital part to the culture of my clientele. And without a DJ, it's just the way it's, so there's a hookah cafe, which is more of like a Middle Eastern thing, where it's like a Starbucks, but instead of selling coffee, they sell shisha. With the way we are, it's a little bit of a, more upbeat. We have a DJ, but mostly everyone is seated. Some people stand outside because we're not allowed to smoke actual like cigarettes on the inside or whatever. So we have an outdoor area where they actually sit at. And like I said, I've been doing it for about 20 years now. It's family run. Most of my family works for me. This is the way I provide for my family. And I know that without having a DJ, it would be very vital to possibly the closing of my business. And I think we've been there for 5 years now. I run a very strict place, so it's very, very strict. There's no loitering. I'm sorry, my throat's kind of dry. I shut down adjacent parking lots. I don't allow people to stand out. No one comes in under 21 and up. Every now and then I have ECU, Black Student Union, ECU, sponsored events, because a lot of the 18 and up doesn't have anywhere to go at. They normally do not smoke hookah if they're under 21. I'm trying to think what else. That's about it. It's become a pretty decent staple in the community. A lot of people visit it from out of town. Like I said, I have a ratio of 5 to 1, which for every 5 women I allow in, I let 1 guy in just to be able to maintain control. I monitor the place. We don't sell alcohol. We've had a very limited amount of just, we have incidents, but very limited. But for the most part, it's extremely positive. I give back to a lot of people in the community, a lot of organizations. It sponsors a lot of people. I've paid folks rents, light bills. I've done a lot. So my slogan to it is that I don't own the hookah lounge. God just allows me to manage it. Because before I opened up, there wasn't a lot of places that we could attend. And I just wanted something that was a little bit more low key. I did not want a nightclub because I've been in that business for quite some time. I do not like it. So if you guys would happen to take a tour, there's a bunch of tables and chairs. Then there's this new thing called line dancing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's popular now. Every now and then we have line dancing night. They might move a couple tables out the way and they'll do these routine cowboy hats and stuff type of line. But anything other than that, man, I try to keep it very positive. I've always been an open book and worked well with law enforcement, anybody else that wanted to know about my business and see what's going on there. And that's about it for the gist of it. Just trying to give the community a positive place to come and, just keep running a very, very tight ship.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Anything to add, sir? No pressure.
No pressure. Good evening, gentlemen. He already said everything that he has to say about his business. I own the building. He's a very good tenant. That's one thing I promise you, that, after 5, 6 years we've been together, he's a very good man. He keeps a good business. He tried his best. He's a young man who tried to do his best in his life, which I supported him at the beginning. I used to have the place, I gave it, you know, I rented out to him, and I want to give him a push for a young man who's trying to make his life easy for him and his family. And he's been doing a great job. Now, the only issue that we had with this thing is the DJ. I don't know, you know, what's the problem with it? What's the crime with the DJ? If there's a crime, let us know, because I'm not a music listener anyway. I think I'm too old for that anyway. So I don't see the crime, but I would like to know where is the crime in a DJ in a place like this, just to make it a little, you know, a vibe in a way that people would come in and they're not in a funeral home. They are in a place that they want to have a little hookah with a little music, and you know, the louder maybe the music turns these, you know, these folks a little, you know, give him a little vibe. That's all I wanted to say. I just want to support him. I want you guys to look out for him and support him. He's a good man. He doesn't do anything wrong. He's been with me for 5 years. He's a very good tenant. He pays his rent on time. He's doing a good job. So that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. And thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right.
I just want to add that the social media advertisements, I don't make enough money to put ads on TV. So it's like, it's more, if you look at them, it's more of the colors in them that's driven, that gets people attention. There's not any alcohol bottles, there's not any naked women, anything like that, because I'm a very big staple in my community. So I watch what I promote. So if you go back and look at them, you'll notice that everybody's fully covered. There's not any mention of alcohol, there's not any mention of anything negativity. It's basically just the colors that makes the flyer vibrant to get them to stop, and it's a way to get into the algorithm that Facebook will allow it to be seen, because I can't afford TV advertising and stuff like that. So it's more like social media has become the new word of mouth, and it's easier to get someone's attention by actually posting a colorful flyer than actually making just a status or a post about it. That's the only thing about it. Sorry, thank you.
No. Thank you, sir. Any questions from the board for the applicants? All right, seeing none.
I guess
Go ahead.
I would have one question. So the addition of a DJ,
Yes.
meeting all other criteria, would the volume of music and entertainment, I guess, would that be different without the DJ? My question is, do you foresee that this is
Yes.
a louder atmosphere
No. So honestly,
with the addition of the DJ?
Honestly, so basically the permit belongs to him in the building, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So when I signed up for it, I was never privy to the information of, or maybe I just didn't read thoroughly enough, I apologize about that, I couldn't have a DJ. So honestly, I've been operating for 5 years with one, and nothing was said. So now it's been brought to my attention. I think they hired someone new who just was going through everyone's permit, just double checking like she's supposed to do, and she brought it to my attention. So we have already been operating with the DJ already, not knowingly. So nothing would change I think the police probably has showed up in 5 years, maybe three to four times about loud. But most of the time I'm always outside, I'm always patrolling my whole vicinity. I turn it right down, I pay close attention to DBS. We have all of my DJs have the machine that keeps it at a certain level, because I'm understanding of people and neighbors around or whatever. And I understand I'm the only person open in that immediate vicinity that time of night. So no, it wouldn't get any louder. Because honestly, I don't like loud music either, but I understand it's a part of my culture and it's a part of the business. If I was to lose the DJ, I would probably have to close. Because my culture, they love dancing or just vibing. And it's not in that dance floor, but they sit there, they might stand up a little bit, they pop their head, they might watch a game or two or whatever. But yeah, the DJ is very, very important to the culture of what I'm trying to create at my space and for my people also. But it would not get any louder than what it was.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional questions?
How much security do you have in the building when
In the
you're?
building?
Yes.
On a slow night, we have 2 parking lot attendants, 2 door, anywhere from 6 to 10.
Okay.
Yeah, so I like to do 10 on Saturday nights, because Saturday nights are very more popular. That's when I'm normally gonna get more out-of-towners.
Right.
I do about 6 on a Friday night, because I've been in entertainment for so long that I honestly can sit here and tell you, if I don't know someone, I probably know their parents, or, you know what I'm saying? So I'm able to pick up and I can identify.
Except the outer-towners.
Except the out-of-towners.
Right.
So I have a way of compromising out-of-towners to make them abide by my rules. Once I notice them, say, hey, how you doing? Where you from? I might even let them in free sometime. I might give them a free hookah to get them on my side, because I try to create some type of emotional connection with me. So that way, if they decide to mess up or do anything, we have this bond. It's like, no, I'm not gonna do that here. So I'm able to identify. I can look at someone and know right away they're not from Greenville. I walk up to them, I introduce myself. I'm very, very hands-on.
Right.
When if the police was to ride by, you would see cones blocking our parking lots. They would see me walking in and out, just monitoring the place or whatever. Because my aunt works for me.
Right.
My mother works for me. My sister works for me.
Right.
And up until my dad had stage 4 cancer, now he worked for me. Up until he was my cleanup guy. So it's a very family-driven place. And I love my community, so I wouldn't do anything to put my community at stake. Yep. So I'm probably one of the only night spots. I search cars. I go over and beyond.
Right.
Over and beyond, without even it being requested by the city. It's just me wanting to keep my people safe.
Right. And I know you can't be held accountable for everything that, transpires in that kind of environment, but there have been several reports of shooting and things like that, some of them from inside the building as well. That's why I was asking the question about security.
The shooting was on the outside, on the adjacent park lot to the side of the building by the fence. So what happens is, I run a very strict ship, right? So let's say, for instance, if you come up and you come to my place and it's 10 guys, I don't know you.
Right.
I won't let you in, because I don't care how much security I have.
Right.
If
It's
you
not
decide
enough.
to do
Right.
something, I can't control it.
Right.
If you are a well-known troublemaker, and I know you have an attitude problem, you have a problem with self-control, or you may be intoxicated or something. So a lot of my incidents come from where I may say, hey, I'm at capacity. I'm not letting anybody else in.
Right.
Because I like my people to be comfortable. So a lot of those stems from people trying to get in or walking from the adjacent
Neighborhood.
gas station, but it wasn't where it was actually people came on the inside, because I don't have no problem banning people.
Right.
I'm actually trying to start a program to where all the nightlife people can get together, and if you're banned from one establishment, you should be banned from all. Because that's what happened. We work very hard to create these spaces
Sure.
and pour our life savings in them, and then someone can come along and do something crazy. And then it's like an all-out attack on the business owner himself, when we didn't do anything to be liable for it.
Right.
But we're trying to keep it safe. So I'm trying to create an initiative to where all of us can work together, that if one person creates trouble at one place, he can't come to none of the places.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Now you can sit down. All right. At this time, we'll ask if any other speakers are here to speak against this case. All right. Seeing none, we will move forward and hear from staff on their recommendation.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. So, planning staff recommends that the board consider the evidence presented and determine whether the proposed modifications, including the removal of the condition, meets the required standards and is appropriate. So, and I'll go a little bit further and kind of clarify that, saying, this condition was the condition subject to this request was originally recommended by staff, and the board saw fit to add it to the permit. However, in light of this quasi-judicial nature of this hearing, staff doesn't provide a recommendation on its removal and it defers to the board to consider the evidence and adopt the findings of fact.
And I know this is not the time for questions, but can you tell us what the date was for the initial special use permit?
I sure can. It was 2019,
Okay.
but specifically it was September 26, 2019.
All right, thank you, sir. At this time, we will close the public hearing and open for board discussion. Is there any discussion from the board at this time?
I would like to add a point. I appreciate very much having a venue such as this where we can review the different changes that are happening in our community and be able to weigh in on it and make decisions as a community. What I would like to put out is I want to caution us on being pushed into a space where we might be policing culture, right? Because that's not really what we want to, I think we want to be looking at here. Conversations about, you know, colorful flyers and DJs, you know, I had a DJ at my wedding, right? And I don't think anyone would call that an issue. So again, I just want to make sure that, and if I could, I don't ever want to see a, you know, if I can help it, see a person up here explaining, you know, how they choose to advertise with flyers and things of that nature, because I think that's a part of the purview of, you know, that person that runs that business. But again, I just wanted to put that out there, and thank you.
Any other discussion?
I don't know if this is a discussion or a question for staff. First of all, I used to be involved in nightlife. I'm not against nightlife in any way, and I know that if I had not been able to have a DJ in my club, we would have closed the door. So the only reason I asked my question about the flyers is because I figured that staff put them in there for a reason.
For sure.
And I was trying to figure out what that reason is. And if the restriction about not having a DJ at the hookah club was put into the original application, then I assumed that staff had a reason for it. So that's all I was trying to get to.
I think that's a fair point. What I want to stress again is this board is regarding the use of the property, right? So we can't take into account unvalidated information that may or may not be found on social media, right? At the end of the day, there's been no reported or validated or documented zoning or code enforcement issues at this time. So for, you know, for the purposes of this board, they are in compliance, right? Until they're not, right? We're a quasi-judicial body. So, Mr. Attorney, you came up and
Just to kind of elaborate a little more on this, and Mr. Chair does a great job. I think he kind of explains this great. As you guys are aware, you didn't hear anything in opposition, so to speak. So really all you heard was in support, substantial competent material evidence. In regards to staff, and I don't want to speak with staff or GPD, they can, if they have any commentary, you guys are welcome to ask them questions. I think the purpose here, as you heard the applicant state, is, hey, we've been operating for 5 years. I was unaware of this condition. We've been operating this way. So it puts city staff, and again, I represent you guys in this context, not the city. I'm just trying to make sure everybody is kind of aware of the circumstances here. Is it puts them in a position where you have to decide, all right, are we going to violate you or try to revoke your special use permit, or are you going to modify it? Like, those are your options, essentially. So I think once there's been that review by our compliance officer of, hey, this is some evidence or this is some information that we have that makes it seem like you might be operating in contravention of these special use conditions, how do you fix that? The way you fix it is put it before you guys. So where we are now currently is you guys essentially deciding based off of what you heard, what evidence you think is substantial, material, and competent, is it appropriate to remove this condition? If you do not, as you stated, he would make the decision to continue operating the way that he has, in which case he would be subjected to possible notice violations or possible revocation hearings. All those types of steps would have to come forward, or potential noise violating ordinance, however you want it, things were going to be handled. But where we are now is just that and what you guys have heard. So as far as the actual, how you're going to make the decision or what evidence you're going to consider when making that decision, it would be improper to say these Facebook posts or these unverified reports or whatever. That's all kind of a separate thing. I think it's really just to provide you guys with that information about the circumstances and the dynamic that's at play here, if that makes sense. And again, we have staff present if you guys have additional questions for them.
And the other thing I'd like to stress is that this happens from time to time. We have zoning staff here that could probably corroborate this. Because special use permits go with the property, properties change uses, properties change businesses. It happens from time to time. That's why we have a compliance and an enforcement division to go out there and check those things. And so it seems like the applicant is doing the appropriate thing, which is there's something that's been flagged that needs to be done. They're here to do it, and so.
You know, I mean, just to share kind of a personal story, we were talking about it earlier. When I was in private practice, we had a very comparable thing where I had to come up representing the private party because they were unaware of a curfew circumstance in their special use permit. So what they have to do, they had to come up here and try to modify. It was a 3-hour hearing or something. It was a very contentious kind of back and forth, but it was a very similar kind of thing. They were like, we are trying to have this prayer group after hours. This is not in compliance with what we have, so we're either going to get violated or we got to get it changed. So ultimately, that discretion and that decision is on y'all, and you know, take it from there.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any other discussion by the board?
I definitely appreciate the comments, especially about policing culture. I would never, as someone who has frequented hookah lounges in the Middle East and, you know, throughout the country, big fan of them. However, kind of getting back to the original conditions were put in for a reason. And when we look at the proximity to an apartment building, I can understand why amplified sound, why there would be that restriction to amplified sound, why the board in 2019 decided that was a good condition. And although they have not had the opportunity to comment on the police rundown, the memo from the police department that we have here, there have been noise complaints by the manager himself did mention that. And so it is something to consider that as they're operating now, police have been called to the property. I think that's a fact that we can consider, that police have been called to the property for noise complaints for music. And so that's operating as they are now with that condition, but it sounds like for whatever reason that wasn't, a violation wasn't given. But there is close proximity to a residence. There have been noise complaints over the past several years, So that's just something that is a consideration that I kind of take when I think about this.
That's fair. Any additional discussion? All right. Hearing none, we will move on, and I will read criteria. For expediency, criteria will be read by reference. You may call for a vote on any criteria as read. Your silence on each criteria is recognized as a vote in favor of the application. Conditions and specifications. Comprehensive plan. Health and safety. Detriment to public welfare. Existing use detrimental. Injury to properties or improvements. Nuisance or hazard. At this time, I will call for a motion for the approval of finding of facts. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion for Mr. McNair. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second for Mr. White. All those in favor, and because of the context of this case, Ms. Clerk, I'm going to ask that you roll call this one, please. Aye.
Jermaine McNair.
Aye.
Sterling Rucker.
Aye.
Nicholas White.
Aye.
Jeremy Jordan.
Aye.
Clayton Sale.
Aye.
John Southwood.
Aye.
And David Newman.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. We have approved the findings of facts, and at this time, we will call for a motion to approve the petition to modify the staff recommended conditions associated with the special use permit. Is that fair, accurate, Mr. Attorney? Does that work? All right. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion for Mr. McNair. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. And again, Ms. Clerk, if you would give us a roll call.
Brian Purdle.
Aye.
Jermaine McNair.
Aye.
Sterling Rucker.
Aye.
Nicholas White.
Aye.
Jeremy Jordan.
Aye.
Clayton Sale.
Aye.
John Southwood.
Aye.
David Newman.
All right. The applicant's petition has been approved. We thank you for your time this evening, and will take effect as soon as you get the signed paper with the updates associated with it. So, thank you. All right. I lost my agenda. There we go. All right. City staff, do we have any announcements this evening? No announcements? Nothing fun? All right. All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you for your time this evening. Have a good night.